Hello. Hi.
Hi, Greg.
Hey, Greg.
Hi. Let me just. Okay, so they're recording. I'm Greg with Deepest Dream and the Cinematics Podcast. Really love the film. Great to meet you all.
Thank you.
Likewise.
So, first question is a question you've been being asked the last, I guess, week or so. But just what is it like to win the Film Independent Spirit Award? What was the feeling like now that you have some days to process it? Just getting that award and actually just being this whole Oscar season. What has it been like for all of you? Just yeah.
Do you guys want to go first?
I mean, it's been pretty cool. I think when we shot the film, we knew that it was a really special story and a really special script, and we were working alongside actors, and our entire team really was just really, really good. So we were very proud of it. We also didn't anticipate all the different places that this film would take us to. So I feel like at every stage, it's been like, oh, we made it this far, or we made it to Oscars shortlist, or we won a Cannes. So like it's just been like a really wild kind of trajectory to chart. And then when we got into the Indie Spirit Awards, it was also really exciting. And then I think I can speak for myself. I personally was like, I don't know if we're gonna win. Like getting in is one thing, but I don't know if we're gonna win. And then we won it. And then it's kind of surreal, honestly. This film keeps surprising us, and it keeps giving us like just the most wonderful gifts. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, the fact that this movie really surprised me because same the idea that this is a very cinematic film, but the actual story feels like it just comes from real life. Can you just talk about, as a storyteller, making a story that is visually arresting and it's cinematic at its heart? It's the story of people and they make mistakes, and that you don't have a lot of heroic moments like your average Hollywood movie. Can you speak to that balance, which I thought was beautiful?
Of course. It came from a place of I think honesty and truth, and like almost like a selfish exploration, because when you're making your first film, it's kind of always for every person, I guess, in some way or the other, about things that they want to reflect on or investigate or that bother them. And I think very heavily leaned into that a bit more than usual perhaps with this film, where it was about like things that were very personal to me in many ways. But I knew that it wasn't just that they weren't only personal to me. Like every person that came on board kind of brought their own truth to it and their own honesty to it. So it was always meant to be a film that was very grounded in this level of honesty, in an ideal version of that film. But I also didn't I there is beauty in the lives of these people as well, and I think that's why the title also, there is some tenderness and beauty and love to be found. And I think that sort of for me was very important to reflect, not just in the relationships but also visually speaking. I didn't want it to look like a dull and drab movie, and I think it's a bit of a Hollywood cliche when you think of a film coming from a Muslim country that's like a desert, and like a woman in a burqa, and like a crow flying in a mosque. And I like really is not the life that I've lived, is not the life that any of us have lived, really. I think Pakistan is in many ways a very beautiful country. And so it wasn't a hardship to make it look pretty also.
And this is for the actors. It just seems to me that each of you gave great performances, but you didn't leave anything. You didn't leave anything on the table. You just put your heart and soul into it. How hard was that? Because it really feels like you're not just saying lines. It feels like each of you were living the part. How emotionally draining and I guess gratifying was it for you to take on that challenge?
It took a lot. I think it took a lot from us in different ways. I think part of the world that we read on the script, what's most important about what we read on the script is that there was so much sensitivity to these characters, the way they were written. What Saim and Maggie did with the script was something that spoke to us. I mean, I can speak for all of us in a way that when we read it, it really changed things in our mind. We knew this was a project, this was a film we wanted to chase. This is a film that we really wanted. This is a story we would be honored to be a part of. And I think when you start working with that intention, whatever the role or whatever the script or whatever the director is asking from you, overtly or not, you're willing to give it, because it's happening itself. So a lot of the times, I found myself really trying to find a way to get further and further into Heather's space to try and understand what all his silences really meant to him. And a lot of the times I was a bit disturbed by it, or maybe a little bit edgy about it. And sometimes I was sad for him, and sometimes I really wanted to hug him. And sometimes I wanted to scream at him a little bit. But, you know, he was very much a very alive part of the process. And so I think it became very, very strenuous some way through. But then, you know, when something like that comes along, you want to give it everything. This film asked for my soul, so I gave it as per requirement.
And Rasti, for you, Mumtaz has that moment where she actually feels like she found her career, just in this really amazing, profound moment. And not to give too much away, but can you just talk about exploring the ideas of following your dreams and then maybe having that dream compromised because everyone else tells you what your dream or your life should be? Because this is a very universal tale.
Yeah, no, it was complicated, Greg, because, you know, you had this character who had somehow managed to kind of arrange her life in a way that she gets to do what she wants, you know, from her, in her personal life and her professional life, she's deriving a lot of meaning from those two spheres of her life, right? And she's got it good. And then before you know it, like, her different aspects of her life are being stripped away. And it was complicated for me because in the writing, I was able to understand that despite everything, despite the fact that she's being stripped that way, she's still an agentible being. And I wanted to capture that. You know, there were so many layers to, like you said, every single character. I would have been loath to have, like, through my performance, have, like, somehow unknowingly collapse those layers into, like, a flat kind of an interpretation. I was scared to turn her into a victim, you know? And so those were really complicated things I was struggling with. And yet, you know, my heart was also breaking for what she has to suffer through, you know, in the film, and the things that she's losing. So it was difficult. It was very challenging. But then I would look around me at my co-actors. I did most of my scenes with Sarbat and Ali, and both of them were bringing all the layers of, like, their, you know, the joyous bits of their characters, but also the torment and pain that each one of them carries in their everyday lives. And so it was also an exciting space to be in, because you knew that you could do something that you felt a little bit vulnerable about, a little scared about. But then in the scene, it would just come together into something really beautiful, really exciting. So, yeah.
Yeah. And on that being beautiful, just, Alina, I just thought your performance was just iconic. And look, tomorrow I have to actually present a movie in front of people. I'm nervous, but what you do is just amazing and ambitious and staggering and inspirational. How did you do that? I mean, what's the secret? I guess because I want to find that secret. So
मेरे लिए तो वैसे पर्सनली करना बहुत मुश्किल था, क्योंकि मेरा फर्स्ट एक्सपीरियंस था कि इस तरह मैं किसी फीचर फिल्म में काम कर रही थी और पाकिस्तान में फर्स्ट टाइम ऐसा हुआ कि किसी ट्रांस को उसके कैरेक्टर के लिए चुना गया। तो काफ़ी मुश्किलात थी मेरे लिए इस चीज़ों को लेके चलना, पर मुझे था कि मुझे करना है, क्योंकि फर्स्ट टाइम ऐसा हुआ कि हमारे पाकिस्तान में हमारी ट्रांस को मौका मिला मेन स्ट्रीम के लिए। स्क्रिप्ट की अगर मैं बात करूँ तो स्क्रिप्ट साइम जी ने बहुत अच्छे लिखी थी। जो सबका कैरेक्टर था वो अपनी ज़िंदगी में कुछ ना कुछ चाह रहा था। उस तरह से एक बीबा का जो कैरेक्टर साइम जी ने लिखा हुआ था वो एक स्ट्रॉन्ग कैरेक्टर था, ना कि उसे कोई कॉमेडी करके दिखाया गया था या पिसा हुआ दिखाया गया था। एक नॉर्मल बीइंग ह्यूमन की तरह, जिस तरह हर कोई अपनी ज़िंदगी में स्ट्रगल करना चाहता है या कुछ ना कुछ करना चाहता है, बनना चाहता है, तो उस तरह बीबा की भी ज़िंदगी में यही एक स्ट्रगल थी कि वो अपनी ज़िंदगी में कुछ करना चाह रही थी। बाकी मैंने स्क्रिप्ट को बार बार पढ़ा। मेरे लिए सबसे जो मेन बात थी वो ये थी कि मुझे 3 मंथ्स मिले हुए थे फॉर वर्कशॉप। तो ये मेरे लिए बहुत अच्छी एक चीज़ थी कि मैंने 3 माह में मैंने बहुत कुछ सीखा। साइम जी ने मुझे अपने साथ बाकी तमाम एक्टर्स के साथ काफ़ी मिलाया, ताकि मुझे ज़रा फील ना हो कि मैं दूसरे लोगों के साथ काम कर रही हूँ, दूसरे लोगों को ये फील ना हो कि वो एक थर्ड जेंडर के साथ काम कर रहे हैं। तो ये चीज़ें मुझे काफ़ी इम्प्रूव करती गई वक्तन वक़्त पर। ये था कि स्क्रिप्ट जो थी मैं वर्कशॉप में अलग से रिहर्सल करती थी, पर घर जाके बैक होम मैं कोशिश करती थी कि मैं उस हर लाइन को पढूं जो बीबा अपनी ज़िंदगी में कहना चाह रही है, उसकी फीलिंग को मैं महसूस करूं। क्योंकि जिस तरह मैं एक अलीना एज़ अलीना मेरी ज़िंदगी में बहुत सी ड्रीम्स हैं, मैं बहुत कुछ करना चाहती हूँ, मेरी बहुत सी ख्वाहिशात हैं। उसी तरह साइम जी ने जो बीबा का कैरेक्टर लिखा था, उसकी भी एक अपनी फीलिंग्स थी जो वो बताना चाह रही थी लोगों से या शेयर करना चाह रही थी, एक स्ट्रगल थी उसकी ज़िंदगी में। तो मैंने उसकी स्क्रिप्ट को पढ़ा और उसको महसूस करने की कोशिश की। बाकी जो सब एक्टर्स थे वो बहुत अपने काम में बहुत एक्टिव थे और उनको देख के मुझे काफ़ी हासिल हुआ कि मैं भी अपने काम को अच्छे तरीके से इम्प्रूव करके दिखा पाऊँ। क्योंकि ये फर्स्ट टाइम था कि हम मेन स्क्रीन में आ रहे थे और मुझे था कि अगर से कहीं कामयाबी नहीं भी मिलती, मेरी तो ख्वाहिश थी कि पहले इसको मिले, अगर मुझे थी कि कहीं नहीं भी इसको कोई कामयाबी मिलती, पर ये कि आने वाले टाइम में जो मीडिया इंडस्ट्री के डायरेक्टर प्रोड्यूसर्स हैं वो ज़रूर चाहेंगे कि वो हमसे हमारे कैरेक्टर करवाएं, ना ही कि वो मेल या फीमेल को दिखा के हमें मजाक के तौर पे दिखाएं या हमें पिसा हुआ या इस तरह। क्योंकि हम बीइंग ह्यूमन, हर एक नॉर्मल मर्द या औरत की तरह वो सब कुछ फेस करते हैं, वो सब कुछ कर सकते हैं जो एक मेल या फीमेल कर सकती है। तो मुझे बड़ी खुशी है कि मैं इस फिल्म का हिस्सा बन रही हूँ। मैं शुक्रिया अदा करती हूँ साइम जी का, पूर्वा जी का, सरमद सर का, के उन सबका साथ था, उन सबका प्यार था कि मुझे हिम्मत आई कि मैं ये करूँ और ये मुझे करना था क्योंकि फर्स्ट टाइम था मेरी जिंदगी का।
Should I translate?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
She said that it was tough. Of course, it was a challenging thing for her because she had never done a feature film or like had acted on any other sort of scale before. It was her first film, and it was also a first time that a trans person was being cast for a trans character, and that the first time that the trans character was written this way, because usually they're sort of encapsulated in these comedy tropes to make fun of and are portrayed by cisgendered male actors. She said the script was great and the character was exciting for her because Biba was a woman who was vulnerable but strong at the same time, and then she just had all of these layers for her that were very identifiable for her as well. She said that the workshops that we did for 3 months before the shoot of the film with the other actors were really, really helpful for her, because she recognized that while it was her first time and she had a lot to learn, but it was also the first time for the other actors working with the trans person, and to build that comfort level, we needed that level of time to be able to sort of, be comfortable in each other's presence. And so that really helped her a lot. And then she drew a lot out of her personal experiences as well, because even though the character is different from her, but there's many layers of similarity in the experiences that she has had in her life with Biba's character. And so she was very, very determined to make this film, because even if it was to fail, she wouldn't care, because she would still be as determined, because it was going to set a great precedent for just trans representation on screen. Yeah.
Just great job on everything. I'm going to ask a very ignorant question, but after watching Joyland, there's a visual reference regarding Hader. He's thinking about the beach, and my version of the beach is Pakistani cinema, which I'm very ignorant of. Are there a breadth of just amazing movies that I am missing? Because my beach would be to explore that type of cinema. And should I be excited? Is there just, I'm not going to say recommendations, but there must be so many. What is it like in general? Is it as great as your film?
I mean, there's no way of answering that question with sound
yes or no answer time. Yes or no.
yeah. And be honest.
There are good films, though. There are few, unfortunately. I think there is certainly reason to be excited, because there are being far more made every year, and then some of them are good, some of them are most of them are very commercially oriented, so they're still trying. There's a movement to still try and ape Bollywood in a certain way in terms of the big cinema, which is not necessarily my cup of tea. But the indie films, there are every 2-3 years we do get an independent film which is exciting and new and fresh. Zindagi Tamasha is one, Kamli is one, Lal Kabutar is one, So there have been films in the past that are interesting and worthy of being looked at, for sure. But hopefully they come more quickly, and back to back.
Yeah, my final question is just a general question for each of you. This movie really is about the intricacies of family, and I was just wondering, how have each of your families received this film and your performances. They must be so proud of what you've done. And the B part of that is, how has this movie in general changed each of your lives? I guess these are very hard to answer, and I apologize for this last question. So
No.
Don't be sorry.
Who goes first?
Okay, let me take a crack at this. I think there are two parts to the answer. One part is, hey folks, I'm cast in XYZ film. And the second part of the answer to that question is, hey folks, this is where the film is now, right? So at the first part, it was very much, like all wise parents, I think family, like any wise family, they were concerned about things like, where's the durability of the career, and where is it going, and how do we know that this is the right move to make, and all of that. It's much safer to have a doctor and engineer at home, and I agree with that. That was the first part of what they experienced. But after it was out and after they've seen it, I've been seeing them transform into a PR firm.
Yeah. Hype machine. Yeah.
You know what I mean? They've been so supportive. My family has been so supportive, so loving. And, every day I'll get a call, and we'll be talking. They'll ask, okay, so what's happening with the film now? What happened now? Who saw it? What did they say about it? Have you been interviewed yet? What are they talking about? Did they like your performance? And I'm like, did you guys like the performance? And they're like, yeah. But how are they receiving the film? So it's all, they're very excited to see where things are going. And they're very, very proud of the film.
Yeah. I think with my family, it took them some time to understand that acting isn't just something that anybody can do. Like for them, it was like, oh, it's one of those professions that, like, you could just get up and you could do it. But it's just like, it took them some time to understand that, no, it's an actual craft, and that you have to hone it like any other craft. And most people are unable to do it, So if I'm doing it, it's special and it's good, So I think it took them some time to treat it seriously. And then they were a bit nervous when I said I'm gonna be doing my first feature film, because they were like, oh, so does that mean that now you're going to give more and more of your time to this craft? And I was like, well, yep, that's the plan. So it took them some time. But then, my siblings saw the film recently, actually, and they were just kind of spellbound by the story. The story, I think, it's just they were moved by the film, and they were also aware that, for me, Alina and Ali, it was like a first feature film. And so they were really they really respected that as well. And they were like, they really appreciated our performances as well. So it was nice to see that happen. It was nice to know that, they had my back, they had our back, and they stood by the film. So, and now they're excited for our future, like you said. So it's very cool to see that.
Just you guys.
मेरे लिए जो फिल्म ने बहुत सी जो चेंजिंग लाई, वो सबसे बेहतर, वो फैमिली की अगर बात करूँ तो वो ये थी कि 10-11 साल बाद मैं अपने घर गई और मैंने वहाँ पे रात गुजारी. तो मेरे लिए ये बहुत एक खुशी की बात थी कि मैं इस फिल्म का हिस्सा बनी, क्योंकि पाकिस्तान में तो नहीं अपॉर्चुनिटी. बैगिंग या फैमिली यही समझती है कि अगर हमारी ट्रांस है और वो घर से बाहर है तो शायद वो कहीं बैगिंग कर रही है या जिसम फरोशी या डांस फंक्शंस कर रही है, तो उस तरह से एक्सेप्टेंस नहीं थी. पर ये था कि पहली फिल्म, जब फिल्म को कैंस में अवार्ड मिला तो हम कैन के लिए गए, तो मेरी अम्मी की कॉल आई. वो काफ़ी, मैंने उनसे कहा कि दुआ कीजिएगा कि हमारी फिल्म कामयाब हो. अम्मी रो पड़ी. और फिर क्या उसे कहते हैं, मैं कैन से फौरी घर गई. 10-11 साल बाद मैंने पूरी रात गुजारी, और उसके बाद अभी तक दोबारा नहीं गुजारी. पर नहीं, मैंने 2 दफा फिर गुजारी. वो रात मेरे लिए बहुत एक इम्पोर्टेंट थी. तो मेरे लिए काफ़ी चेंजिंग थी, क्योंकि मुझे मौका मिला बीइंग ह्यूमन, नॉर्मल इंसानों की तरह दूसरों की कहानी का हिस्सा बनने का. और बाकी मेरी फिल्म फैमिली ने भी तरह उस तरह से फिल्म नहीं देखी, पर ये कि वो बहुत खुश हैं कि मैं एक नॉर्मल लोगों की तरह काम कर रही हूँ. अच्छा, और चेंजिंग ये है कि आगे मज़ीद काम मिल रहे हैं, और मज़ीद काम मिल रहे हैं. पर हाँ, मैं खुद भी चाहूँगी पर्सनली कि मैं अपनी ट्रांस कम्युनिटी के लिए, जो हमारी मीडिया इंडस्ट्री है, थिएटर या ड्रामाज या कुछ भी कॉमेडी शोज़, मैं उनमें अपने लिए, अपनी ट्रांस कम्युनिटी के लिए रास्ते बना सकूँ, ताकि उनको भी इज़्ज़त या उनको भी ये मौका मिले कि वो अपनी फैमिली के दिलों में जगह बना सकें, या वो एक बीइंग ह्यूमन नॉर्मल इंसान की तरह सबके साथ मिल के काम कर सकें, जो कि मेरा बहुत अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस रहा. और मैं ज़रूर चाहूँगी कि ऐसा मौका उनको भी मिले, ताकि उनकी भी ज़िंदगी बेहतर हो सके, और वो बैगिंग या इस तरह की चीज़ों से हट के वो एक नॉर्मल इंसान की तरह अपना रोज़गार कमा के अपनी ज़िंदगी का गुजारा.
She said after Cannes, she went home when the film premiered, and the biggest change that she can think of that happened is the fact that she was able to go back home and spend a night there with her family for the first time after some 11, 12 years. Like she was never really welcomed in that sense up until because for her family, they thought that her sort of being out and being trans meant for them that she would probably be stuck in, something like begging or sex work, etc. And they never really thought that she would be a part of a profession which would also bring a certain level of dignity and acceptance in such a big way that, that she was able to get. So the biggest thing for her is that, she's of course closer to her family, and then she's actually able to spend some time with them and be like a part of the family and feel normal in that sense. And another thing that's happening, of course, is, now she wants to pursue this as a proper career. More work is coming her way, and hopefully more will come her way. And then she wants to sort of make her space in the media industry and make space for other trans women as well in the media industry, for them to be able to enter that industry, or any industry for that matter, that has a dignity associated with it. Yeah.
Nina's gonna kill me, so I know it changed your life as well. I'm gonna leave you guys because I know you guys have a lot of interviews.
Yes.
I really love this film. Thank you so much for your time.
Right.
Thank you, Greg. Lovely talking
Pleasure.
to you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's so nice.
Yeah. Simon.